is there anybody talking about what happened with Lexi Thompson over there?
Everybody. Everybody's been asked. Everyone thinks it's garbage what they did. Everyone thinks that if you want to assess a two-stroke penalty for a rules violation, okay, with a shrug. But you said that you're saying she signed a scorecard that was wrong, that you didn't tell her was wrong, and you did it a day and a half after the fact. You can't do that. It's you want to penalize her 2 strokes, penalize her 2, but you can't possibly make it 4, and you can't do it when they did it. And I think, Rich, that in an odd, maybe not an odd way, maybe an obvious way, I think she benefits more from losing the way she did than she would have had she won, because not as many people would know Lexi Thompson's name if she won an event that wouldn't have gotten nearly as much attention if this didn't happen. And the way she handled it with such grace and class earns her this legion of fans, and she's good enough that she'll win it again. So, yeah, it's a huge topic of conversation.
So what is the, I guess, rule here of using somebody's email or phone call advice? I mean,
that happens all the time.
But what's the statute of limitations on when you can actually apply it? And what is the rule there at Augusta National? Can we see something like that this weekend?
Sure. That's the question. Is what statute of limitations, Rich, is the most important question, because we're doing this a day after the fact. It happens all the time, every week on a PGA Tour event. Somebody will call in and say, I think so-and-so did this, and they'll look with the rules committee. It's happened here in the past where they'll go in afterwards before the card is signed, and they'll say, well, we want to ask you about what happened on 11. What do you feel like this happened? Because we're not sure. And if the player says, I'm good with it, then that's what they do. If you'll recall with Tiger a few years ago when he hit the flag on 15 and there was concern about an improper drop,
yes,
it was put Tiger and Augusta National were put in this odd place where they had to figure out after the fact, what do we do? Because technically Tiger signed an incorrect card. They went back after the fact and said, well, this penalty should have been imposed. And that's the danger here, is at what point do you just live with the error that you've made? And certainly a day after the fact, in the middle of the next round, to try to administer. We saw it last year at Oakmont with Dustin Johnson, where they said, hey, well, in the middle of the round, and maybe we'll talk about it when it's over. And I'm like, are you joking? That's when your wife says to you, hey, I got to talk to you. Oh, what do you want to talk about? We'll talk about it after dinner. Well, how much are you eating? How many more bites are you eating
Exactly.
at dinner? No more. I can't eat. Let's talk about it. And you drop your fork and say, what is it? Tell me now. And so it's really a ticklish area with golf that only happens in golf, and people don't like it. But for now, they're governing the sport that way. Somebody on their couch that goes, I think that's a bad drop. So they send an email or they call, and then, it's patently unfair, because the person who's not playing on television could be theoretically chucking their ball down the fairway.
No question. You're absolutely right. Hey, look, man, enjoy your time there as always. What a beautiful spot. I've never been. Heard only the greatest things about it. I don't know if I'm allowed to go there, Scott, because I don't know if you remember when I did on Sportscenter many years ago, Masters polling moments, when the Masters were in that argument about letting women in or not, and we kind of had
a green jacket in the fireplace, was there not?
Yeah, I used Berman's green jacket, went home and got the Steinbrenner white Dickie, busted that out.
As you do.
Pito,
as you do.
Bill Pito did the voiceover of Masters polling moments, and I had the fireplace behind me. Some in management at the Worldwide Leader weren't too fond of it.
Understood.
So if you hear,
Time's passed, Rich. Time's passed.
Okay.
A lot of things have happened. We'll see what we can do. I'm down there in the Butler cabin. I'll let them know you asked for me to steal something for you, and we'll see if we can't get you.
Oh my gosh, I did do that. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Enjoy it. I love watching you.
Hey,
I look forward to it.
And congrats on the Emmy nomination.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you. You keep doing your thing, brother.
Thanks, bud. You too. That's Scott Van Pelt.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.